is dedicated by Mr. Isaac Samuel in memory of his beloved wife Esther Basar B'Chil Meir Akon Yirok and the merit of our Talmud Torah and Shamo Haven Aliyah and the family in Nechama. And by Adam Yudit Ben Zev, dedicating. Thank you. Dedicating the shir in honor of the Mishpacha and the Kila. Today also is the yard site of Rabbi Yitzchak and Bitchev. So incredible. So we say that Rabbi Yitzchak is like our Rebbe here. Baruch Hashem. So we zocha to learn so much of his Torah, so much of his beautiful Torah, really each and every week. And however we his Talmidim Shalem Yatz Hashem be zocha to give his neshama an incredible aliyah. And a mazel tov to the Abramsons. Baruch Hashem were zocha to bring their son home last night. Mazel tov. And the bris should be b'shah tova u'mitzlachos. All right, well, so let's begin. Today's daf is Sadik Aleph. So again, hopefully everyone started the new parak yesterday. And again, exciting news. Parak Chilik is going to take us to the end of Sanhedrin, Yirtz Hashem. And as you saw already from yesterday's daf, we have incredible and mamish beautifully uplifting Gemara. So we'll say, so today's daf 91. We are picking up from Tzadik Amud Beis 90. We actually got down to the end of the daf yesterday. So we're good. Did everyone sing that yesterday? We all sang it. Yeah, we did a record. So we are picking up Shala Cleopatra. 4 lines up from the bottom. So 4 lines up from the bottom. Last 2 words on the line. You'll say perfect. Thank you. Shala Cleopatra, Machusa es Rabbi Meir. So Cleopatra. Additional sponsors? Okay. Sorry. I don't think so. Did I miss any of the sponsors? No. Shala Cleopatra. Malchus says Rabbi Meir. So Cleopatra, so remember again, Cleopatra is like Paro. Right? Meaning it was a title. Lav Dafka that this is the famous Cleopatra. But it was a title, just like Paro. So Cleopatra, the queen, asked Rabbi Meir, Amra, thank you so much. Thank you. Amra, Yedanin Dechai Shchachvi. She said, I know that the living will die. So the Gemara says, excuse me, I know that the dead will come back to life. So Cleopatra apparently was a woman of Emunah, so she believed that the dead will come back to life as well. However, she had an interesting question. But she said when the dead come back, do they come back in their clothing or do they come back unclothed? Now, what she's also really asking over here, the Maharsha points this out, she's asking, like, what clothing do they come back in? In the same way that obviously the body regenerates. The body regenerates by Tchias HaMesim. So which clothing? Do they come back in the clothing that they're buried in? Do they come back in different clothing? Amar la kavachor mechit. So Meir says it's kavachomer from wheat. So he says literally the chita, the grain kernel, which is buried unclothed. What does that mean? That you plant the grain seed. And the seed is just by itself without any covering. But yet, when the grain sprouts forth, there are many different layers on top of the seed. So tzaddikim shenik brain b'shein alachas kama v'kama. The tzaddikim who are buried in their clothing, i.e. tachrichim, all the more so come back clothed as well. Amar lakis Rabbi Gamliel. So the Caesar said to Rabbi Gamliel, Amrisu d'shach v'chayi. You said that those who are dead come back to life. So the Caesar, how could this be? Hahavu afra v'afra mikachai. The dead become dust, and how can dust come back to life? How could dust be made into a living thing? V'afra mikachai, top of tzaddik up. Listen to this. Amalei Barte. So his daughter said, right? Interestingly enough, the daughter of the Caesar said to Rabbi Gamliel, Shafke va'ana mahajarnales. This is amazing. The daughter of the Caesar says to Rabbi Meir, I've got this one. I can answer this for my father. So listen to this. Shnei yotzim yeshbirin. She said, Father, we have 2 craftsmen in our city. Echad yotzim min hamayim, ve'echad yotzim min hatzitz. One goes out and fashions utensils, scaling from water, and one fashions utensils from clay. Eizem and meshubach. Who is the more skilled artisan? So Amar zesh yotzim min hamayim. He said, of course, the one who fashions utensils from water. In other words, to fashion a utensil from water obviously is a very big thing, a much greater skill than fashioning utensils, ultimately again from clay. So Gemara says, excuse me. So the Gemara says over here, I will say, so the Gemara, what you were essentially answering is the following. If it's a greater skill to fashion a utensil from water, because it's easier to fashion a utensil from clay, man, who was originally made from the clay, originally made from the earth, even though he disintegrates into dust, it's easy for HaKadosh Baruch Hu to rebuild him. So the Rabbi Shmuel Tana Kavachomer Kli Schuchis. So the Shiva Rabbi Shmuel, they said it's a Kavachomer from a glass utensil. What's the Kavachomer? So Ma Kli Schuchis Sha'amalan Beruach Basar V'Dam. So when it comes to a Kli Schuchis, a glass utensil, which is made through the ruach, through the blowing of a person, Nishbaru Yeshlan Takana. If the utensil breaks, you can put it back together. A human being who is made through the breath of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, even once he disintegrates, of course he can be put back together as well. So there was a particular man, a particular non-believer, who said to Rabbi Ami, you always say that the dead come back to life, but yet the dead become dust. Can dust come back to life? Rabbi Ami said, I'll give you a mashal. He says, so a king says to his servants, go and construct for me a beautiful palace in a place where there is no water and there is no dirt. Right? So they went and they built a palace. Then the palace fell down. So the king now says to them, okay, rebuild the palace, but now you have an advantage. What's the advantage? Beforehand, you had no dirt and you had no water. Now that the palace crumbled, you could rebuild the palace from its own ruins. Amrlo, ain ani yicholin. So the workers say, we can't. So the king got angry and he said, I don't understand. V'amrlahem, b'makom shemayim v'afra b'nisem, achshav sheishmayim v'afra alachas kama v'kama. So the king said, the first time you went ahead and you built the palace, you had no building chomer, you had no ingredients for building. Now, even though the building crumbled, you have all the dirt, you have all the water right there. So of course you can build it. And ultimately, again, as you don't believe, so the idea he was saying over here is once HaKadosh Baruch Hu created man, therefore by definition the building blocks are there. Even once he disintegrates after having died, it's easy for HaKadosh Baruch Hu, so to speak, to rebuild him, just like the workers can rebuild the castle once it has crumbled, since all the building materials are there. And if you don't believe, go out to the valley, and go look at a particular mouse. I will say, the Gemara here is highlighting a commonly held belief of almost like a spontaneous generation type of idea, or regeneration type of idea, that something could be born just from the air. So the Gemara says that is seulabika or achbar shayom chetzia basar v'chetzia v'adama. Go and see there's a particular mouse that today is going to be half flesh and half earth. Lamachar hishritz v'naase kula basar. And tomorrow you'll see that its entirety will turn into flesh. Shema tamar lizman meruba. Maybe you'll say it takes a very long time. Allah lahar, go up to the mountain. Urei, first white line about Tzadik Aleph of Aleph. Urei shayom ein bo ela chilazon echad. And see in the particular mountain, there's only one chilazon. I will say chilazon, remember, is the snail from which they produce the tcheles. And what happens? Lamachar yardu gishamim. Tomorrow it'll rain. V'nismali kula chilazonos. And the entire mountain will be filled with these chilazonos. So what's it? The idea that the Gemara is trying to point out is in these discussions with these individuals who have difficulty wrapping their head around Tchias HaMesim, essentially the answer is really one and the same, which is you see the ability for the Ribono Shel Olam to manipulate nature in all kinds of dramatic ways and to make something from nothing. Now in reality, it's not from nothing, but it looks like from nothing. So the same Ribono Shel Olam that can make these somethings from all of these nothings also has the ability to perform Tchias HaMesim as well. So the Gemara goes right through. We're going to come to now a number of Gemaras with Gevia ben Pesisa as the major character. So what's interesting enough, Rashi just says over here, Gevia ben Pesisa, Rashi is on both columns. Take a look at the left-hand column, about 4 lines down. So Gevia ben Pesisa is actually the last wide line. So Kach Shmo, this was his name, Gevia ben Pesisa. V'hayulo akmumius bigabo kidmuchach lekamon. He was a hunchback. Now you're going to see why that's important for the story. So the Gemara says, listen to this. there was a particular non-believer, a particular min, who said to Gvia ben Pesisa, Vailachon chayve da'amrison meisei chayim. So the Gemara says, so this Apikoris said to Gvia ben Pesisa, woe to you, you sinners, who say da'amrison meisei chayim. Meisei chayim. So he says, woe to you, O sinners. This is the Apikoris speaking to Gvia ben Pesisa. Woe to you, O sinners, who say that the dead will come back to life. So Gvia ben Pesisa says, Meisi, I'm sorry, I just lost the place. Meisi chayim, techayim meisi, the meisi chayim. How could it be, if the living die, how could it be that the dead will come back to life? Amarle, Gvia ben Pesisa responded, Vailachon chayve. Woe to you, O sinners. And he throws it right back at the guy. He says, you're the sinner. Tamisat meisi lo chayim. How can you say that the dead will not come back to life? The lo havichayi, the havichayi lakol shekin. So Gvia ben Pesisa is something amazing. There's something that was not alive is able to come to life. Then something that is dead could certainly come back to life. In other words, what Gvia ben Pesisa says is that the concept of life, right? The baby begins without life, and then life ultimately again is put into the child. So if something that was lifeless comes to life, then of course something that had life, lost it, could regain that life as well. Amarle chayve karisli. So now, interestingly enough, the Apikores was offended that Gvia ben Pesisa called him a sinner. You're calling me a sinner? Listen to this. Ika imna ba'itna b'cha. If indeed there is Tchias HaMesim, this is the sinner talking to, this is the meaning talking to Gvia ben Pesisa. If I come back to life and you come back to life, I'm going to kick the hump right out of your back. In other words, if he was saying, I'm going to beat you up. If it turns out that there is Tchias HaMesim, I'm going to beat you so hard that I'm going to make you straight. So listen to this. Gvia ben Pesisa says, Amarle, imata osakain. If indeed you are able to do that you're able to beat the hump right out of me, rofe uman tikra, then you will be called an expert doctor who's harbe tito, and you'll make a lot of money. In other words, we'll say, by the way, there's actually an incredible musar to be learned in this about how to go ahead and handle difficult interactions. Sometimes I will say, when somebody is not nice to you and they speak not nicely to you, it's very easy to get drawn into that. Instead, what Gvia ben Pesisa says is, if somebody is speaking inappropriately in a caustic fashion, difficult fashion, the best thing is diffuse the situation. Sometimes the best way to diffuse the situation is how? With a little bit of humor. A little bit of humor. So Gemara goes like, Tana balam. Be'esim ba'arba b'Nisan. It's supposed to say, now we're going to get into an incredible sugya. On the 24th of Nisan, is nitilu dimusanoi me Yehudim Yerushalayim. The enemies of Yehudim Yerushalayim were removed. The Rashi says, Dimisunai means Ororim, Ba'alei Hamas, Shahayu Rotzim Lito Chelik B'Du Yerushalayim. So on the 24th of Nisan, we're going to see that those who wanted to take Eretz Yisrael from the Jews were essentially defeated. What happened? Listen to this. Kishabo b'nei Afrikai ladun im Yisrael. Lifnei Alexandrus Mokdon. So one time, the people of Africa came, they called Klal Yisrael to a din Torah. They called the Jewish people to a din Torah before Alexander the Macedonian, also known as Alexander the Great. So remember again, Alexander the Great rules much of the civilized world. So the Africans, right, the people from Africa, call Klal Yisrael into see, this essentially is like the precursor for the Hague, right? So they go ahead and they call Klal Yisrael. Now again, Klal Yisrael is always called into the international court for the same exact thing, which is stealing land, right? This is not a new thing that we are accused of taking other people's land. So once again, we're called before Alexander the Macedonian. The Africans call us. The first Rashi, right? Bereshis bara. That's right. The Yimashal knew that this was going to happen. Say, the ammunition. Very true. Amrlo, Eretz Canaan Shalanoi. So the Africans say, the land of Canaan belongs to us. Where do we know this from? The Chsiv, Eretz Canaan ligvula sehel, uKanan abun dano in Shiava. So the Africans say, listen, we are the descendants of Canaan. Canaan was given the land. You expelled Canaan from the land. Give us back our land. So listen to this. Amar lahu Gvia ben Pesisa lachachamim. So Gvia ben Pesisa says to the sages, let me represent the Jewish people. I mean, let me go defend our claim to Eretz Yisrael. Iminatzchuni, if I lose, Amru Hedot Shebanu Nitzachtem. So listen to this. So Gavia ben Pesisa says, listen, if I lose, then at the end of the day, the worst case scenario is you could say, you could cut ties with me. You could say, I wasn't really representing Klal Yisrael. He's just some crackpot who just came and decided to defend Klal Yisrael. But again, we'll send a real champion for Klal Yisrael. So what happens? And if I win, so Amru Lahem Toras Moshe Nitzachtem. And if I win, Gavia ben Pesisa says, I don't want any credit for myself, but if I win, we could call it a win for the Torah of Moshe Rabbeinu. So Nasno Rishus, Vahalach V'Danimayim. So they give Gavia ben Pesisa Rishus. Gavia ben Pesisa represent us before Alexander the Great and win back our rights to Eretz Yisrael. So listen to this. So Amar Lahem, Mehecher Atem Meviyim Raya. So remember again, he says to the Africans, so now where are you guys bringing your raya from? So they're very proud of themselves. They say, Amru Lo Min Torah. What do you mean we're bringing a raya from the Torah? Amar Lahem, Af Ani Avi Lachem Raya El Min Torah. So Gavia ben Pesisa says, I'll bring you a raya from the Torah as well. Shnei Amar, Vayomer. Sorry.
Says Afani Lo.
Right, bring Afani Lo Avi Lachem Raya El Min Torah. El Min Torah. I'm also going to bring you a raya from the Torah. Even I will only bring you a raya from the Torah. Shnei Amar, Vayomer Adur Kenan Eved Avadim Yele Echad. The pasuk says, cursed is Canaan, he will be a slave to his brothers. So they say, you want to, so Gavia ben Pesisa says, you say your right to Eretz Yisrael comes from the fact that your grandfather, your Zayda, was Canaan, and Canaan was the original owner of the land. Well, remember again, read a little bit further, the pasuk says that Canaan is cursed, and he will be an Eved to his brothers. So remember again, Eved to Shem and Yafes. Eved Shekana Nechasim, Eved Lemi, Hu Nechasim Lemi. So Gavia ben Pesisa says, no, your Zayda was an Eved. He was an Eved to my Zayda. So if somebody's an Eved, who does the Eved belong to? And who do the Eved's possessions belong to? Below Od, Ela Shahari Kama Shanim Shalo Avaratonu. So listen to this. Not only that, Gavia ben Pesisa says, only a Yid can make such an argument like this. So Gavia ben Pesisa says, by the way, so not only does your Zayda belong to us, not only does Eretz Canaan belong to us, all of you belong to us, and furthermore, you guys have been slacking on the job for the last number of really generations. So in other words, you owe us some back pay. You're our avodim, and you have not been working for us for the last number of generations. So Alexandros, Malka, Hechzir Lo Tshuva. So Alexander says to the Africans, "Nu." So what do you have to say? Amrulo, Tinu Lanu Zman Shloshi Yamin. Give us 3 days. We need 3 days to think about this. So what happens? So Nasa Lahem Zman. So 3 days go by, they have no tshuva, they have no answer. So they ran away. And what I was supposed to say is amazing. And they left behind plowed fields, planted fields. They left behind planted vineyards. So what's that great miracle occurred? Not only did Gavia ben Pesisa defeat the Africans, but what? They ran away, leaving behind being mafkir their fields and their vineyards, fields which were ready for use, vineyards which were ready for use, and it just happened to be that what? It was a Shemitah year. It was a year ultimately, again, where the Jews would not have been able to cultivate their own fields, and Baruch Hashem, they were able to live off the abandoned fields of the Africans. So the Africans are done. Hamachos, Bo b'nei Mitzrayim, they're up to the Egyptians. The Egyptians came to go ahead and argue against Klal Yisrael in front of Alexander the Macedonia. Now, the Egyptians don't want land. What do the Egyptians want? Amrulo Harehu Omer Vashem Nasan Eschina Am Beinei Mitzrayim Vayash Ilum Tinu Lanu Kasef Uzav Shnetalta Mimeno. So what's this? Very interesting. So the Egyptians had a good diuk in the pasuk. Pasuk says when Klal Yisrael was leaving Egypt, that God placed the favor of the nation in the eyes of the Egyptians. Vayash Ilum. Now, the way the many of Farshim Vashilim means Klal Yisrael asked them for possessions, and the Egyptians happily gave them possessions. The way the Egyptians touched up the pasuk was how? Vashilim means what? They borrowed. She said, that's right. You told us you were borrowing the utensils. We lent you all of our gold, all of our silver. To nu lanu kesef ezav shenatalta mimenu. Nu, give it back. Amar Gavia ben Pesisa lacham. So what's the same conversation? So Gavia ben Pesisa offers to defend Klal Yisrael. And he says, Tenu lirushos ve'elech v'adonimayim. Let me go and defend Klal Yisrael from Alexander. If they defeat me, say if they defeat me. So there's a lesson for this. What does it mean? Like not when they repudiate ties, but you disavow. You could say, he was a rogue agent. You could disavow any knowledge of Gavir ben Pasisa's actions. And if I win, and if I win, then ultimately again my win will be a credit for Klal Yisrael. So that's no rishus. They give rishus to Gavir ben Pasisa. The halach v'dani man. Amar lahem me'echanat mevi'in raya. So Gavir ben Pasisa says to the Egyptians, "No, where are you bringing a raya from? That we owe you gold and silver." So Amar lahem min Torah. So again, we just go to the pasuk. Amar lahem afani lo abi lachem raya ela min Torah. So I'm also going to bring you a raya from the Torah. What does the pasuk say? Shnei amar. I'm supposed to get ready for this. Umoshav b'nei Yisrael asher yashuv mitzrayim ar shloshim shana v'arba me'osh shana. So Gavir ben Pasisa says, "Listen, Klal Yisrael were slaves in Egypt for 430 years. I'll make you a deal. Tina lanu schar avoda shel shishim rivo sheshibaratem eMitzrayim shloshim shana v'arba me'osh shana." If we are talking about settling tabs, then listen, you owe back pay for 600,000 men for 430 years. So let's do the math. Okay, we'll give you back the gold and silver, but let's do the math in terms of how much you owe us. So Alexander says to the Egyptians, "Knew what do you have to say? Give us 3 days to think about an answer." So what happens? They had no answer. So say again another miracle occurred. Apparently there were Egyptians living in Eretz Yisrael. They ran away. And what happens? They left behind planted fields, planted vineyards, and again the Jews took it over. And again, amazingly enough, it was a Shemitah. Now, both say whether this was the same Shemitah year or again 7 years later, 7 years before, the Gemara doesn't tell us. But again, miraculously, it was a Shemitah year.
Refugee problem.
I'm sorry?
It's a refugee problem now.
It's a refugee problem, right? Correct. It's Alexander the Macedonian's problem. So the Gemara says, also, just by the way, Alexander the Great was relatively good to the Jews. Right? Relatively good. V'shuv pam achos, bo b'nei Yisrael. I'll say now, here we go. V'shuv pam achos, bo b'nei Yishmael. U'b'nei Keturah, lo dunim Yisrael. Who shows up next, I will say? B'nei Yishmael and b'nei Keturah. And what happens? They come, lo dunim Yisrael from Alexander's Mokum. Amar lo. Eretz Canaan shalanu v'shalachem. So they say Eretz Yisrael belongs to us as well. So this is actually very interesting. Their claim, if you notice, is Eretz Canaan shalanu v'shalachem. So what they're claiming over here is not sole ownership. What they're claiming is pre-1967 borders. I don't know, whatever they're claiming. Right? They're claiming something. They're saying, listen, we're not debating that you have some claim to the land. But we are saying that we have a claim as well. Ve'ela toldos Yishmael ben Avram. Eila toldos Yitzchak ben Avram. Listen, we are both the children of Avram Avinu. The land belongs to Avram. You're Yitzchak ben Avram. We're Yishmael ben Avram. So therefore, we are entitled to part of this land. Amran Gavir ben Pasisa. So Gavir ben Pasisa once again says, Tinuli Rishus ve'elech ve'edon iman lefnei Alexandros moktum. Iminatzchuni amru hedot shevachem nitzachtem. B'mani anatzech osam amram Torah Moshe Rabchem nitzachtem. So again, the greatness of Gavir ben Pasisa is the following. Essentially, what he's saying is, if I win, I don't want the credit. If I lose, you could just claim that I'm a nobody. So nothing to lose by sending him out. Amar lehem Torah Moshe. So again, so what happens? Naslo rishus halach v'doni man. So Gavir ben Pasisa goes before Alexander the Great with Bnei Yisrael Bnei Keturah. Amar lahem me'echad atzam mevi'in raya. So they say. So he says to them, where does your claim stem from? Amar lo min Torah. So they said, listen, Gavir ben Pasisa, we're bringing him a first shot from the Torah. Amar lahem af ani lo avi raya ela min Torah. So Gavir ben Pasisa says, fine. Also bring a pasuk shneimar vayiten Avram es kol asher lo liyitzchak. The pasuk says that the Chai Sarah, Avram gave everything he owned to Yitzchak. And to the sons of the concubines, which includes who? which includes Yishmael, right? Because of Hagar, and also includes Bnei Keturah. Avram Avinu gave matanos. He gave gifts. So we'll say, what is Givim B'Sisa saying? Av shenasan agetin lebanav b'chayev b'shiger zeh al zeh klum yish lazeh al zeh klum yish lazeh al zeh klum. So again, so Givim B'Sisa says, obviously, what did Avram Avinu do? He essentially bought out the sons of the Pilagshim. In other words, the pasuk explicitly says that he gave Yitzchak everything, and he gave the Bnei Pilagshim matanos. So Givim says the fact that he gave the Bnei Pilagshim matanos means that what? That he removed the Bnei Pilagshim from any of the other Yerusha. So the Gemara says, my matanos, by the way, what are these matanos that Avram gave to the Bnei Keturah? So Rabbi Yirmiyah bar Abba melamed shema salahem shem tuma. He gave them, let's say shem tuma. If you look at the last Rashi on the daf, on the left-hand column, shem tuma, kishuf u'ma'as shedim. He gave them the power of kishuf and the power over Shaitan. Now, both say, now why exactly Avram Avinu would give that to his offspring is an interesting thing. The Maharsha says that it was more that he gave them the power to understand these things so that they should continue to be monotheists, that in the lands in which they would settle, where there would be Kishuf, there would be Shaitan, that they should realize that these are not religions unto themselves, that they should understand the inner workings of it so that it shouldn't sway them theologically. All right, so the Gemara goes weiter. Amarle Antoninus the Rebbe. We'll say, listen to this. Antoninus, was one of the Roman emperors who has a very close relationship with Rebbe Meir. So he says, Antoninus the Rebbe, Guf uneshama yichonu liftar atzam min adin. Listen to this. Says Antoninus said to Rebbe, the guf and the neshama, both as talking about after death, both have the ability to get out of judgment. How so? So Ketzad, Guf Omer, Neshama Chatas. So the body could say, listen, God, I recognize that I sinned, but it wasn't my fault. It was all of the Neshama's fault. What's the proof to that? Shemiyom Shepir Shemimeni Harini Mutal Ke'evan Domim Bekever. So what's the body's proof? The body's proof is, since the Neshama left me, what am I doing? Nothing. I just lay here in the box, right? I just lay here on the ground, and you see I'm causing no trouble. That's a raya that all the trouble that I caused was what? Was because of the neshama. When the neshama omeres, the neshama could say, Guf chata. It's the guf spot. It was the guf that caused me to sin. Why? Because since the body left me, what do? I just fly around like a bird, causing no trouble. So both the guf and the neshama blame the averos of life on the other. So what happens? Rebbe says, let me give you a mashal. Also, it's an amazing mashal. So this can be compared to a king who had a beautiful orchard. Actually means a beautiful grove. But what happens? Bechoros knows. And he had very, very beautiful figs. Like Bechoros knows, Rashi says, it's te'inos ha-bechoros, early blossoming figs. And everyone knows that the early blossoming figs are the best figs. So what does the king do? He goes ahead and he appoints two watchmen over the field. One is lame, right? One can't walk, and one is blind. Now, why the king chooses these two guys? All right, whatever. He chooses these guys. So we'll say, what happens? So they hatch an incredible plan. So the crippled one says to the blind one, I see some delicious early blossoming figs. Here's what we need to do. Ba ve'erkivani unaviem la'achlam. So the crippled one says to the blind one, put me on your shoulders. I'll direct you where to go. We'll get the figs and we'll eat them together. So sure enough, what happened? So ultimately, again, so the summa, the blind one, put the lame one on his shoulders, on his back, and they eat the figs. Fine. What happens? So a little while later, the king comes back, and the king says, "No, what happened to my figs?" So the crippled one says, "Listen, king, what do you want from me? It obviously couldn't have been me, because I have no legs." And the blind one says, "It couldn't have been me. I have no eyes." So we'll say, each one has a perfect alibi. So what does the king do? Ma'asa, hirkiv chiger al gabi suma. he orders the blind one to pick up the crippled one and put him on his back. V'dan osam ke'echad, and he judges them as one unit. So meaning he says, I can't judge the blind one by himself, and I can't judge the crippled one by himself, but I can judge them together. Avagadosh Baruch Hu mevi neshama v'zarka b'guf v'dan osam ke'echad. So what does HaKadosh Baruch Hu do? The Rebbe Shalom takes the guf, he takes the neshama, puts it in the guf, and he judges them as one entity. Shenei Amar, as the pasuk over here in Tehillim says, Yikra el Shamayim me'al ve'el ha'aretz lodin amo. So the pasuk says, Yikra el Shamayim me'al. He calls ultimately again. Yikra el Shamayim me'al. He called from the heavens above. Zu neshama. This refers to the soul. Ve'el ha'aretz lodin imo zehaguf. So the idea over here says the Gemara is that for judgment, the Ribono Shel Olam brings together the guf and the neshama together. Whatever it means. But it means that the Ribono Shel Olam judges them as an entity together. So the Gemara goes right. Antonina said to Rebbe, so both say this idea, the idea of this Gemara both say is incredible yesod. Life is this synergistic partnership between the body and the soul. Neither is, so the idea is that the body has an achrayis ultimately again to cooperate with the soul, and the soul has an achrayis to go ahead and get the cooperation of the body. Therefore, again, when there is a breakdown in the synergistic partnership and chait occurs, both body and soul are held responsible. Which is an incredible yesod. If you think about it, what is the Gemara coming to teach you? It's very easy to say the soul is all good and the body is all bad. That's easy to say because then you can go and you can blame everything that goes wrong on the body. That's not the way it works. It's not the way it works. There's a synergistic partnership between body and soul. And both ultimately, again, are responsible for one another. And therefore, again, the din at the end of the day goes upon both the guf as well as the neshama. Incredible yesod. Amar Antoninus l'Rebbe. Mipnei ma chama yotzei b'mizrach v'shokas b'marav. So Antoninus says to Rebbe, why is it that the sun rises in the east and sets in the west? Now, at first class, it sounds like what Antoninus is asking is, why does the sun rise in the east and go to the west? So the Gemara says, Amar so he says, I don't understand. So, and if the sun rose in the west and set in the east, you would also have the same question. Santonina says, you're right, I'll tell you what my kasha is. So the Gemara says, what he was asking is, why does the sun have to rise in one direction and set in the other? In other words, why can't the sun rise and set in the same direction? In other words, Antonina says, I don't care about east-west. What I'm just wondering is why it needs to start in one direction and end in the other. Why can't it rise and set in the same part of the horizon? Amrle, so Rebbe says, Kedei litin shalom likono, in order ultimately, again, to give shalom to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So what does that mean? Look at Rashi. It's in the right hand. It's on the right hand column, about 4 lines in, 3 lines in, on the other short lines. Kedei litin shalom likono. Because again, our Masorah is that the Shekhinah resides in the west. The Chevan Shemagas ad Marav Holechas u'Mishtacham lefnei HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So we'll say, so the image is it rises in the east, and then over the course of the day it sets in the west, bowing down to HaKadosh Baruch Hu in the west. Shene'emar u'tzeva sh'mayim l'cha mishtachavim. Amar lei. So says Antoninus to Rebbe, so I don't understand. Why can't it go to the middle of the sky, bow down kiviyachal to HaKadosh Baruch Hu there, and then go back and set in the east, or for that matter, just set right there? Listen to this. The Gemara says, "Mishum polim u'mishum overdrachen." Because I will say, if the sun were to go ahead and set immediately or dramatically midday, this would cause a disadvantage for workers and for travelers. Let's take a look at Rashi. Mishum polim if the sun were just to set immediately, if the sun were to set midday, this would cause a disturbance for the workers and cause a disturbance for the travelers. So we'll say, see what the Gemara is saying over here? I mean, what's the message in this? Obviously, all of these Gemaras have messages, but the idea that the Gemara begins with is that nature gives kavod to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. But yet, then what the Gemara ends off with is that the way that nature is structured in a way that benefits man. That at the end of the day, the Rebbe Shalom created the world not for himself, but he created the world for us. And as such, the natural mechanisms that HaKadosh Baruch Hu put into place are there to best serve us. Even though, again, it could be from a covet perspective for God, it would be best if the sun just set after reaching its midday apex, but that would put man at a disadvantage. And because HaKadosh Baruch Hu created this world for us, therefore what? The sun begins its downward trajectory towards the west. This is an amazing Gemara. Neshama me'emasai nitna ba'adam. When does man receive his neshama? Now there are many conflicting ma'amare chazal regarding this. So this is just one opinion being expressed over here. But at what point in time does man receive his neshama? So the Gemara says, Mishas Pekida or Mishas Yitzira. Does man get it Mishas Pekida? And Abbas, if you look at Rashi for just a moment, Rashi has it out of order over here. Mishas Yitzira means Shenikam Kula Babasa Begidim Atzamos. In other words, when the fetus, does man get his neshama? When the fetus is formed in utero or Mishas Pekida? Rashi's Pekida is Misha Shamalach Poked Atipa Mavil Ifnei Amakom Mat Heales. Remember, we will see this in Mesechus Nida. The Gemara says that while the embryo is just a drop, even before the embryo, the fetus is formed, the Malach Hamamuna al Ha'irayon, the angel who is in charge of pregnancy, brings the drop before HaKadosh Baruch Hu and says, Tipa zu mate aleh, what is this child going to become? It's not even a child, it's a tipa, it's a drop. So the Taninas asked Rebbe, when does a person receive their neshama? Mishas Pekida, which refers to when the Malach brings the drop of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, or only when the fetus becomes formed. So ultimately, again, Rebbe responded, it's when the fetus is formed. Only once the fetus is formed does it receive its neshama. So listen to this. Antoninus responds and he says, Amar lei, Efshar chaticha shel basar omedes shlosh yomim below melach, bein ha-masrachos, could a piece of meat sit for 3 days without salt and not go bad and not spoil? What Antoninus was saying to Rebbe is the neshama itself is what gives man life. How could the fetus exist without the neshama? It must be that the neshama is given already when we're still a tipa, when we're still that little drop, and it's that neshama, that's life force that allows ultimately, again, the tipa then to form into the fetus. So the Gemara says, Ela Mishas Pekida. So Antoninus argues with Rebbe, and he says, I think that a person receives their neshama Mishas Pekida, from the moment ultimately, again, that the entity is only a drop brought before HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Listen to this. Amar Rebbe said, Davar zeh lamdani Antoninus. Well, it is amazing. So Rebbe said, Antoninus taught me this halacha, taught me this concept. In other words, Rebbe was being molded that Antoninus was right. I thought all of these years Rebbe said that the child only got its neshama when it was a formed fetus. And now from Antoninus I learned that in fact the neshama comes into even the tipa, even the little drop. Umikra Messiah. And Antoninus has a pasuk that supports him. She'emar upekudasech shamra ruchi. In other words, a little bit of a play on words. Pekudasech shamra ruchi. That from the time of Pekida, from the time ultimately again that the Malach brings me in front of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, to be remembered to ask what's going to happen with this tipa, from that moment my ruach, my spirit, my neshama is in me. We'll say another, there's a follow-up Gemara. Antoninus says to Rebbe, so okay, now we established that the neshama is given to man even before he's man, when he's just the tipa, when he's just the drop. What about the Yitzhara? So Mishas Yitzira or Mishas Yitzia. Does the Yitzhara come in to the fetus, or does the Yitzhara only come out when the baby comes into this world? Amalei Mishas Yitzira. Rabbi Meir says it must be from the time that he's created, right? In other words, from the time that he's in utero. Amalei. So Antonina says, Im came Boet B'mei Imo V'Yosef. If that's the case, that the Yitzhara was in the fetus, then what? Then the fetus would fight its way out of the womb immediately. Rather, again, Antonina says it must be that a child does not receive the Yitzhar until when? Until he comes into this world. Amar Rebbe said, Davar zeh lamdani Antoninus. Rebbe said, Antoninus taught me this, and indeed Antoninus is correct. that a child only receives his Yetzer Hara when he comes out into the world. Umikra Messiah, and there's a pasuk from this past week's parsha that supports this. Shneimar lePesach chatos rovetz. Literally, sin awaits you. The Yetzer Hara awaits you where? LePesach, at the entranceway to the world. So I will say, by the way, if you think about this, it's an incredible Gemara. So what the Gemara is teaching us is that I receive my neshama from the time that I'm a tzipa, from the time that I'm just a drop. And my Yetzer Hara only comes about when I come into this idea that man has his kedusha even before he ever has a proclivity or a predisposition to sin. An incredible yisod. In our essence, we are kadosh beings. We are holy beings. The desire or the Yetzer Hara to sin only comes about later on. Incredible. Reish Lakish Ramiksiv. Reish Lakish contrasts the two psukim. What are the two psukim? So the pasuk over here says, it's quoting over here from Yirmiyah. So bam iber upiseh harav yoledes yachtok. So the pasuk over here is talking about messianic redemption. Right? Everybody will come together, and who's going to be there? There's going to be the blind person and the healthy person and the pregnant person. Everybody together. Ksiv as yidali ka'ayal piseach v'tzaron loshon ilem kinifku min marmaya v'nachalim ba'araba. So what's like? But yet the other pasuk says in Yeshaya, when Mashiach comes, everybody's going to be healthy. So again, the first pasuk makes reference to the fact that Mashiach comes. There's going to be blind people. Everybody's going to come together. The second pasuk indicates that everybody's going to be healthy. Saketzad. Om din b'muman. When Mashiach comes, ultimately everybody's at first going to have their mumin umisrapin. Mashiach is going, but as a result of messianic redemption, everyone will be healed. Ula ramiksiv. What's like Uma contrast to psukim. On one hand, it says Bila hamavis lanatzach umachashem dimamei akapanim. On one hand, the pasuk says in Yeshaya, when Mashiach comes, death will be swallowed up forever. Uksiv ki anar ben mea shana yamos. Lo yiyeh mishum od ol yomim. So we'll say, yet the pasuk says, so on one hand it says death will be swallowed up. On the other hand, the pasuk says, Lo yiyeh mishum od ol yomim. V'zakin asher lo yimaleh semav ki anar ben mea shana. The pasuk says, when Mashiach comes, if somebody dies at 100, it'll be like a premature death. They'll call it like somebody who died young. So which one is it? Will there be death or there won't be death? Lo kasha kan be Yisrael, kan ba'ovdei kochav. We'll say when it says there'll be no more death, that's for Klal Yisrael. When it says that someone who dies at 100 is like they're dying young, that's by Ovdei Kochavim. So the Gemara says, 1 second, but Ovdei Kochavim, my bo hasam. But I don't understand, are there Ovdei Kochavim when Mashiach comes? My bo hasam. Hanach tichsev behu va'amdu zarim v'lo tzarachem u'bnei nechar achrichem v'char mechem. So we'll say, so the pasuk says, yes, there'll be Ovdei Kochavim. I will say now, whether or not Ovdei Kochavim in this context means Ovdei Avodah Zarah, or Pashas, what it means is non-Jews. So what the Gemara essentially answers is, there will be non-Jews during the Yemos HaMashiach for one simple reason. Someone has to tend to the flocks. Right? So the idea over here is, now whether or not they'll actually be Ovdei Kochavim, I will say, sounds a little bit strange, because Pashtos, one of the hallmarks of the Messianic era is what? That everyone will recognize HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Now, that doesn't mean everybody will convert. Again, in fact, the Gemara says we won't be Makabel Gerim during Yemos HaMashiach, because again, we're only Makabel Gerim and we'll only accept converts at times where there's a challenge to convert. So Lamais, again, we won't accept converts, but there'll be Gentiles. Why would there be Gentiles? Ultimately, again, they'll be the workforce. Rav Chisda Ramiksiv. Rav Chisda contrasts the two psukim. On one hand, the pasuk says, quoting over here from Yeshaya, "V'chafra levana ubo shachama ki malach Hashem tzavakos." Literally, again, it means that the light of the sun and the light of the moon will be covered up, right? Will be blunted. Uksiv v'hayo'ar levana karachama v'arachama yishavasam kar shivas hayamim. But yet, then the other pasuk says that the light of the moon will be like the light of the sun, and the light of the sun will be amplified 70 times more than it was during creation. So which one is it? Will the light be amplified? The light will be blunted. Lo kasha. Kan limos HaMashiach, kan la'olam haba. Oh. We'll say now, and again, we're going to continue with this a little bit more in tomorrow's daf as well. We'll say, the Gemara is talking about two different stages over here. One is talking about Limos HaMashiach, and one is by olam haba. Look at Rashi for just a moment. This is on the left-hand column of Rashi, about 2, 4, 6 lines in the short lines. Or look at this. Kan limos HaMashiach. So when Mashiach comes, that's when ultimately again That's when the light of the moon will be like the light of the sun. But apparently there's a period after Yemos HaMashiach, which is called Olam Haba, and Olam Haba is even greater. And Olam Haba, the light of the tzaddikim will be so great that it'll even blunt the light or eclipse the light of the sun and the moon. So according to this approach in the Gemara, there's first Yemos HaMashiach, there's Messianic redemption, and then after Messianic redemption, there is the period called Olam Haba. The Amar, Ein Beina Olam Hazeh Yemos HaMashiach, because as the Gemara says, there is no distinction between this world and the Messianic era. Ella Shibud Malchios Bilvad. The extent of Shibud Malchios. Lokasha Kan B'Machane Tzadikim Kan B'Machane Shechina. We'll say again, that's talking about the Machane Tzadikim, but in the Machane Shechina, in the whatever this means, in the camp of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the light of the luminaries will be blunted in the face of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Rabba Ramiksib. So it's a Rabba contrast to Psukim. One end the pasuk says, Ani Amis Ve'achya. The pasuk says, the Rebbe Shalom says, Ani Amis Ve'achaya. I will put to death and bring back to life. Uksiv Machatzti Ba'ani Erpa. Amar HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That which I put to death, I will bring back to life. And further again, that which I made sick, I will heal. I created death, and I will bring back to life. Perhaps assuming two different people. Some will live and some will die. Therefore, the pasuk says, "I made sick and I will heal." Just like the sickness and the health is in the same person, so too again, death and life will be in the same person as well. I will say, and again, here is a refutation of those who say that there is no scriptural proof to Tchias HaMesim. Tanya, Amr Meir, back to Tchias HaMesim. How do we know about Tchias HaMesim in the Torah? From where do we find the scriptural allusion about Tchias HaMesim? Shenei Marbo said, this is all right. So let's catch up right here for just a moment. Right now, we're back to Tchias HaMesim. Back to Tchias HaMesim. Now, the beauty of these next Gemaras is, up until now, to be honest, some of the Gemaras were drawing on Psukim from obscure sources like Navi. Right now we're going to come to these Gemaras are going to be a little bit more not relevant to us, but they'll speak to us a little bit more because they're speaking to Psukim from the Torah. So watch this. So Tanya Arumeir, we'll say, so we are now 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13 lines up from the bottom in our final stretch. Tanya Arumeir, Meir says, from where do we know about Tchias HaMesim? Min HaTorah Shnei Ma'abos. Listen to this. As Yashir Moshe Bnei Yisrael Ashira Azos Lashem. So the pasuk says, then Moshe and Klal Yisrael will what? Will sing. Future tense. Sharlo Nemar. It doesn't say they sang. Ella Yashir. They will sing Mikan L'Tchias HaMesim in Torah. So we'll say again, this is a Mefurish Shiraya to Tchias HaMesim. So we'll say, if you can imagine this, by the way, the image the Gemara is trying to paint over here is that when Mashiach comes, Moshe and our ancestors who left Mitzrayim will sing again. They will sing another shira, as Yashir Moshe B'nei Yisrael. So Mikal Tchias HaMesim in Torah. Kiyotzi v'davar ata omer, as Yivnei Yoshua Mizbeach LaHashem. So too the pasuk says, then Yoshua will build the Mizbeach to Hashem. Bana lo nemar. It doesn't say he built it. Ella Yivneh Mikal Tchias HaMesim in Torah. So we'll say the fact that it says it in the future means Yoshua will build the Mizbeach. Ella Me'ata as Yivneh Shlomo Bama Lechamosh. Shikutz Moav. But we'll say the pasuk, one of the mistakes that Shlomo Melech made was that he married too many women, right? And then ultimately, again, he allowed Avod Zarah to take place in his home to the point that the Navi almost faults Shlomo for building a mizbeach to Chemosh. Chemosh was one of the idols from Moab. Shlomo didn't actually build it, but because ultimately, again, he allowed it to happen in his home, he is held responsible. So hachanami diyivne. So does that mean? So again, we'll say it's also phrased in the future. Does that when Mashiach comes, Chas Shalom, Shlomo is going to build a mizbeach for Chemosh? Ella ma'alav alav akosav ki'ilu bana. Then we'll say the point of that pasuk is to teach me that Shlomo HaMelech, the fact that he allowed these idolatrous influences in his home, it's as if he allowed it to be built. Rabbi Shimon Levi says, this is so beautiful. From where do we see a right to Tchias HaMesim? Shene'emar Ashrei Yoshvei Veisecha Od Yahalelucha Sela. We'll see how beautiful is this. Now it turns out that we go ahead and reinforce our belief in Tchias HaMesim 3 times each and every day. When we say Ashrei, praiseworthy are those who sit in your home. Od Yahalelucha Sela. They will praise you again. Yahalelucha, they will praise you. Hilalucha lo nemar. It doesn't say they praise you present or past. Elo Yahalelucha. They will praise you future. Mikan letchias hamesim min haTorah. The Bible says, so from here is a raya to tchias hamesim. So the fact that it says Yahalucha, they will praise you in the future, this is remes to tchias hamesim min haTorah. Baruch Yeshua ben Levi, kol omer shira ba'olam hazeh, zoche ba'omer li'olam haba. And Rabbi Shmuel Silber says, furthermore, it teaches us whoever sings shira in this world will be privileged to say it in olam haba as well. Now, say olam haba over here, a reference to the afterlife, where you go after you. Dashnemar, ashrei yoshe v'secha, those who dwell in HaKadosh Baruch Hu's home in this world, Od Yahalelucha Sela, will ultimately again be privileged to give halal to HaKadosh Baruch Hu in olam haba as well. So it's really, just if you think about it, it's such an incredible idea that in essence we make reference to Tchias HaMesim 4 times every single day. Az Yashir Moshe b'nei Yisrael Sashira Hazos, right? Number 1, Ashrei 3 times, Ashrei Yoshe v'secha Od Yahalelucha Sela. This idea of Bosai. Now, why make reference to it 4 times? Because again, Tchias HaMesim Bosai is exceptionally important. Number 1, because it reinforces our belief in Mashiach. It also reinforces our belief in accountability. The fact that this Tchias HaMesim Bosai means that what? In order to have a Tchias HaMesim, what do you first need?
Amazing.
You need to die, right? You need to die. So Bosai, death is a very important thing to constantly remember, because death is the constant reminder of divine judgment. And I will say the fact that each and every one of us will be judged by HaKadosh Baruch Hu is what keeps us honest. The fact that I have to give an accounting for my life, and an accounting, not just like a general, God, let's do like a panoramic overview of my life, right? There's no panoramic overview. There is a day by day, hour by hour overview of how I spent my life. I will say that is so important, because the knowledge that I have to give an accounting for every action, the knowledge that I have to give an accounting for every word, the knowledge that I have to give an accounting for every decision, I will say is what gets me to think about how I live my life, what I'm doing, and how I'm acting. Incredible. So the Gemara goes weiter. I'm Rabbi Yochanan. How do about Tchias HaMesim min haTorah? Because over here the Gemara quotes from the pasuk from Yeshaya. Kol tzofecha nasu kol. Literally again, kol tzofayich nasu kol yachdav yiraninu ki ayin ba'ayin yiru b'shuv Hashem es tzion. Rininu lo namar. It doesn't say again they will rejoice or they will sing. Elo yiraninu. So it's always the same yesod. Whenever you see this singing phrase in the future, the Gemara always sees that as a reference to Tchias HaMesim. In the future, Mashiach comes, all of the prophets will sing shira b'kol echad. I was like, can you imagine that, by the way? Can you imagine that shira? When all of the Nevi'im get together and sing one shira to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, shene'emar, kol tzofayich, shira b'kol echad, shene'emar, kol tzofayich nasu, kol yachdav yiraninu. Because what the pasuk says, literally, kol tzofayich. Now, just so you understand, the tzof over here, tzofayich means those who see, a reference to the Nevi'im. Nasu kol yachdav yiraninu. They will go out and they will sing together in one beautiful voice. All right, we'll stop over here for today. We have more. Again, this is great, because Mamish, this is going to take us over the next little while, pretty much till the end of Sanhedrin. Stay tuned on. We'll see what the schedule is for tomorrow. Hashem. Shkoyach.